Hello, BookTube. It's Joshua here, and today I'm going to be doing a challenge. It's called the Quick to Judge Challenge. This was created by Ali Risedale 2 years ago, but it was revived by Jess at Jess Book Girl TV recently, and I saw Pat's video of it, and I thought it was just super fun, and so I figured I would. I asked Pat. I said, "Hey, is it okay if I jump in on this?" And she said, "Of course." So I'm doing it, and yeah, the first prompt is pick 5 to 10 unread books from your shelves. Um, and so I have them all here. I have 10 books here because I have a lot of unread books on my shelf. So I could choose 20 if I had to. But and then the second part is to read the first paragraph of every book. And then the third part is to rank the books based on the first paragraphs, and add your highest ranked book to your upcoming TBR. And then I'll tag people at the end. So yeah, I figure I'll get started. I'll just I have 10 books here. I'll read the first paragraph. I'll read each first paragraph to you guys, and then we'll see what happens. I'm mostly going into this blind. I may have taken a peek at a couple of the first paragraphs, but uh, I haven't. In most cases, I haven't looked at them. So, yeah, the first book that I'm going to be sampling is A Distant Mirror by Barbara W. Tuchman. So yeah, A Distant Mirror, the calamitous 14th century, and I will read you. I'll skip the foreword here, and I'll read you the very first paragraph. This is from chapter 1. I am the sire de Kusi, the dynasty. That is the title of the first chapter. Here it is. Formidable and grand on a hilltop in Picardy, the five-towered castle of Coucy dominated the approach to Paris from the north, but whether as guardian or as challenger of the monarchy in the capital was an open question. Thrusting up from the castle's center, a gigantic cylinder rose to twice the height of the four corner towers. This was the donjon or central citadel, the largest in Europe, the mightiest of its kind ever built in the Middle Ages or thereafter. 90 feet in diameter, 180 feet high, capable of housing 1,000 men in a siege, it dwarfed and protected the castle at its base, the clustered roofs of the town, the bell tower of the church, and the 30 turrets of the massive wall enclosing the whole complex on the hill. Travelers coming from any direction could see this colossus of baronial power from miles away, and, on approaching it, feel the awe of the traveler in infidel lands at first sight of the pyramids. Okay, I'll withhold my judgment. I'll withhold commenting. And I'll go into the next one. Then the next one is The Once and Future King by T.H. White. I've heard about this. I've heard this praised on Steve Donahue's channel many times, and it seems to be very highly regarded. And the first paragraph is actually quite long. Oh no, it's not too bad. Never mind. Sorry. There's a little epigraph here. I'll read that to you guys as well. She is not any common earth, water or wood or air, but Merlin's isle of gramarye, where you and I will fare. This is the first paragraph of chapter 1. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, it was court hand and simuli logicalis, while the rest of the week it was the organon, repetition, and astrology. The governess was always getting muddled with her astrolabe, and when she got specially muddled, she would take it out of the wart by rapping his knuckles. She did not rap Kay's knuckles, because when Kay grew older, he would be Sir Kay, the master of the estate. The wart was called the wart because it was more or less rhymed with art, which was short for his real name. Kay had given him the nickname. Kay was not called anything but Kay, as he was too dignified to have a nickname, and would have flown into a passion if anybody had tried to give him one. The governess had red hair and some mysterious wound from which she derived a lot of prestige by showing it to all the women of the castle behind closed doors. It was believed to be where she sat down, and to have and to have been caused by sitting on some armor at a picnic by mistake. Eventually, she offered to show it to Sir Ector, who was Kay's father, had hysterics, and was sent away. Oh, wow. They found out afterwards that she had been in a lunatic hospital for 3 years. Okay. That was the first paragraph of The Once and Future King. Next up is... Oh, this is falling. Okay, hold on. Next up is this volume of Bruce Catton's the Potomac trilogy, the Army of the Potomac trilogy. So this is actually 3 books in one, but I'll read you the first paragraph of the first book, Mr. Lincoln's Army. And I got this really nice Library of America edition. Yeah, here, I'll flip to the beginning. There's an introduction, so I'll go past that. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1. Picture book war. There was talk of treason. The rowboat slid out on the Potomac in the hazy light of a hot August morning, dropped down past the line of black ships near the Alexandria wharves, and bumped to a stop with its nose against the wooden side of a transport. Colonel Herman Haupt, superintendent of military railroads, a sheaf of telegrams crumpled in one hand, went up the Jacob's ladder to the deck, clumsily, as was to be expected of a landsman, but rapidly, for he was an active man, and disappeared into a cabin. A moment later he returned, and as he came down the ladder, he was followed by a short, broad-shouldered, sandy-haired man, deeply tanned by the sun of the Virginia Peninsula, with thin, faint lines of worry between his eyes. Major General George Brinton McClellan, commander of the Army of the Potomac, which had been coming up from the south by water for a week and more, and which at the moment was scattered all the way from Alexandria to the upper Rappahannock, most of it well out of the general's reach, and all of it, as he suspected, soon to be out from under his authority. Interesting. Okay, that's Bruce Catton's Potomac trilogy. Okay, next up. This has 2 books, 2 novels in it as well, but I'm going to be reading you first from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. In chapter 1 here, it starts with dialogue, so I'll just read the dialogue and then the first actual prose paragraph. So chapter 1 of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Tom. No answer. Tom. No answer. What's gone with that boy, I wonder? You, Tom. The old lady pulled her spectacles down and looked over them about the room. Then she put them up and looked out under them. She seldom or never looked through them for so small a thing as a boy, for they were her state pair, the pride of her heart, and were built for style, not service. She could have seen through a pair of stove lids as well. She looked perplexed a moment and said, not fiercely, but still loud enough for the furniture to hear, "Well, I lay if I get hold of you, I'll..." Okay, and then it cuts off there. So I'll stop there. Okay, that was the Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Next up, a big boy. This is James Boswell's The Life of Samuel Johnson. And I will read you the first paragraph of this. Here we go. It's a short one. To write the life of him who excelled all mankind in writing the lives of others, and who, whether we consider his extraordinary endowments or his various works, has been equalled by few in any age, is an arduous, and may be reckoned in me a presumptuous task. Perhaps I'll go on to the next one because that was just one sentence and it was quite short. Well, it was a long sentence, but it was short for a paragraph. Had Dr. Johnson written his own life in conformity with the opinion which he has given, that every man's life may be best written by himself, had he employed in the preservation of his own history that clearness of narration and elegance of language in which he has embalmed so many eminent persons, the world would probably have had the most perfect example of biography that was ever exhibited. But although he at different times, in a desultory manner, committed to writing many particulars of the progress of his mind and fortunes, he never had persevering diligence enough to form them into a regular composition. Of these memorials a few have been preserved, but the greater part was consigned by him to the flames a few days before his death. Interesting. Okay, I'll hold. Sorry, I won't say what I think of it, but yeah, James Boswell's Life of Johnson. Next up is Rebecca West and Black Lamb and Grey Falcon. Okay, so there's a prologue here, so I'll read the beginning of the prologue. Let's see. Okay. This is the prologue of Black Lamb and Grey Falcon. Another book that I've heard highly praised from Steve. So I'm really glad I have it. It's a huge thing, too. Okay. I raised myself on my elbow and called through the open door into the other wagonlit. My dear, I know I have inconvenienced you terribly by making you take your holiday now, and I know you did not really want to come to Yugoslavia at all, but when you get there, you will see why it was so important that we should make this journey, and that we should make it now, at Easter. It will all be quite clear once we are in Yugoslavia. That was the first paragraph. Intriguing, I think. Okay, next up, we have 4 more books. This is Comrade Don Camillo, which is, I think this has 2 novels in it. So the first novel is titled Comrade Don Camillo and Don Camillo and the Devil. And it's written by Giovanni Guareschi. I discovered this through Steve's channel once again, as always. And yeah, I heard him praise it as a very good comic novel. So here's the first paragraph of Comrade Don Camillo. Chapter 1, Gold Fever. The news exploded like a bomb around Monday noon upon the arrival of the newspapers. Someone in the village had won 10 million liras in the national soccer sweepstakes. The papers gave the name of the winner as Pepito Spezzeguti, but no one in the town was known under such an exotic name. The bet collector, besieged by a curious mob, threw out his arms hopelessly. I sold any number of tickets to fellows from out of town at the market on Saturday, he said. It must be one of them. 10 million liras. He's bound to show up. Okay, that was the first paragraph. Okay, and I'm not sure. I think that one was. I think that one I probably should have read a bit more deeply into it to be able to tell more about it, but that's okay. Next up is Castiglione, the Book of the Courier. And I will begin, not with the dedication, but with the very first book of the Book of the Courier by Castiglione. I have spent a long time wondering, my dear Alfonso, which of 2 things was the more difficult for me, either to refuse what you have asked me so often and so insistently, or to do it. On the one hand, it seemed to me to be very hard to refuse anything, and especially something praiseworthy, to one whom I love dearly, and by whom I feel I am very, very dearly loved. Yet on the other hand, to embark on a project which I was uncertain of being able to finish seemed wrong to one who respects adverse criticism as much as it ought to be respected. Eventually, after a great deal of thought, I have made up my mind to find out how diligent I can be when helped by affection and the anxiety to please, which usually act as a sharp spur to all kinds of activity. So I think he's talking to his dedicatee there, if that's the right word. So yeah, that's interesting. Next up is Livy, the early history of Rome. So I will skip the introduction. And okay, this is the preface. I think this works. Okay, this is the preface to his Roman history by Livy. The task of writing a history of our nation from Rome's earliest days fills me, I confess, with some misgivings. And even were I confident in the value of my work, I should hesitate to say so. I am aware that for historians to make extravagant claims is, and always has been, all too common. Every writer on history tends to look down his nose at his less cultivated predecessors, happily persuaded that he will better them in point of style or bring new facts to light. But however that may be, I shall find satisfaction in contributing, not, I hope, ignobly, to the labor of putting on record the story of the greatest nation in the world. Countless others have written on this theme, and it may be that I shall pass unnoticed amongst them. If so, I must comfort myself with the greatness and splendor of my rivals, whose work will rob my own of recognition. Interesting. Okay, and the very last one, Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall. This is the 10th book, and after this I will rank all of them and then add the top one to my TBR. Okay, there's a cast of characters here, but I'll skip that. I'll skip the family tree. Okay, part 1. Chapter 1. Across the Narrow Sea, Putney, 1500. So now get up. Felled, dazed, silent, he has fallen, knocked full length on the cobbles of the yard. His head turns sideways. His eyes are turned towards the gate, as if someone might arrive to help him out. One blow, properly placed, could kill him now. I'm not going to read on. I wonder what's happening there. Wow. Okay. So I've finished all of them. I finished reading the first paragraphs of all of them. So now I've got to rank them. This is going to be hard. Okay. Okay, I have organized them into 2 piles, which go in the order of my rankings. So, I'll pick up the first pile here. Here we go. Okay. So, the first 4 books. Number 1 is A Distant Mirror. I thought that description of the tower in France was just was a wonderful way to start it. So I thought this was by far the most memorable opening, and then this one was quite humorous. Really, I enjoyed the I'm gonna drop these. I enjoyed The Once and Future King by T.H. White, the first paragraph that is, and then Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall. That was such an intriguing opening, and then Rebecca West, Black Lamb and Grey Falcon. I thought that her words to her husband there in that first paragraph were, again, intriguing, because I wasn't sure, what was gonna happen next, but yeah, anyway, the next pile, okay, so then in 5th place, James Boswell's Life of Johnson. I thought it was really, just sampling those first couple of sentences, that was really well written, and so I put that there for that reason. And then Bruce Catton's Army of the Potomac. I thought that in writing about in describing those generals in the first paragraph, they were very uniquely described. So I put them at 7th, I believe. No, 6th place. Sorry. And then at 7th place Livy's early history of Rome. Because I thought that the interesting was quite intriguing. The first paragraph was quite intriguing because, yeah, it just seemed well. It seemed like his task was very enormous because he was talking about this writing the history of the greatest civilization in the world. Next is Castiglione, and then that's number 8. Number 9 is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and then last I put Comrade Del Camilo. Okay, so that was my ranking. Okay, and for the very last prompt, I have a list of people here who I am tagging. First is Steve Donahue. And I know that I saw a very similar video that Steve did for March of the Mammoths, and where he read the first paragraph of really long books. So Steve may not want to do it again, or Steve, if you are watching this and you do want to do it again, if you do want to read the first paragraphs of books again, feel free to, because those videos were very enjoyable. I'm also tagging David Novak at David Novak Reads Poetry. I'm taking Denson at Robin Song Reads. I'm tagging Philip Hall, Emily at the Linguist's Library, Joe Spivey, Isaiah at That Reading Guy, and Summer at Sterling Reads. And so those are the people I'm tagging. So feel free to do this tag, all of you guys, or if anyone else wants to do it as well, just feel free to do it, or if not, that's fine as well. And so thank you for watching this video. I think it was slightly hectic, but oh well. Bye bye.